This is the first part of my book, I Hope You Die Soon, Words on Non-Duality. Introduction. The most common misconception about liberation is that it is something that an individual can gain. But liberation is a loss. The loss of the sense that there ever was a separate individual who could choose to do something to bring about liberation. When it is seen that there is no separation, the sense of vulnerability and fear that attaches to the individual falls away, and what is left is the wonder of life just happening. Instead of meaning, there is a squirrel motionless on a grey tree trunk, legs splayed, head up, looking straight at you. Instead of purpose, there is the astonishing texture of cat's fur, or the incredible way an ant crawls over a twig. The loss of hope is no loss when it is replaced by the moorhens bobbing on the lake. When the sensation that I am in control of my life and must make it happen ends, then life is simply lived and relaxation takes place. There's a sense of ease with whatever is the case and an end to grasping for what might be. On Liberation, Part 1. Preliminaries. Liberation cannot be described in words. It cannot be understood by the mind. It cannot be seen until it reveals itself. Then no words or ideas are able to express it, and no mind is able to grasp it. Yet liberation is all there is, right now. Paradox. The seeing of liberation has nothing to do with the mind, yet here liberation is covered over by the mind. Covered over by the mind which does not exist. Paradox. Liberation is the end of searching and the end of meaning. Liberation reveals the meaning of life as life itself. There can be no searching for that which is already seen to be the case. Language by its nature describes duality. Events, experiences, things, thoughts, feelings, phenomena, the stuff that happens. There is no language to describe non-duality. The best we can do is to hint at it. So, let us hint. Awakening. Seeing there is no one. It begins with Saturday afternoons in Hampstead, listening to discussions about non-duality held by Tony Parsons. I do not understand a lot of what is said, but something keeps drawing me there. And I like the jokes and the conversation and the drinking afterwards, so I go back again and again. Then, at a central London station on a warm summer evening, the person, the sense of self, suddenly completely disappears. Everything remains as it is. People, trains, platforms, other objects. Yet everything is seen for the first time without a person mediating or interpreting it. There are no flashing lights, no fireworks, none of the whirligig phenomena of LSD or hallucinogenic mushrooms. But this is the real wow. Seeing an ordinary railway station for the first time without any sense of self. Here is the ordinary seen as the extraordinary, arising in oneness with no one experiencing it. In that instant, it is seen that there is no one. The sense of there being a person has been a constant up to this point and given meaning to this life. For so many years, it has never been questioned. It has been so thoroughly taken for granted as me, my centre and location, that it has not even been noticed. Now it is seen as a complete redundancy. Suddenly it is known that I never had a life because there never was an I. In a split second of eternity, it is known that without an I, everything is being seen for the first time simply as it is. I do not live, I am lived. I do not act, but actions happen through me, the divine puppet. Every concern of this small but so important apparent life falls away in an instant. Within a second, the self returns, saying, "What the hell was that?" But that split second of no one brings about irrevocable changes to the internal landscape. For seeing this can blow your mind. The past becomes two-dimensional. Before this, the past was a three-dimensional landscape which I visited frequently. I rushed about in it, jumping from place to place. Every scene had energy and reality to it. That energy appeared as feelings and thoughts, mostly about regret and guilt, with themes of what if and if only endlessly playing. The past was consequently tilled and retilled, different possibilities uselessly played out, as if obsessive revisiting could somehow change the geography, bring back a lost lover, or erase some offence given or received. Now, after that split second of no one, although the person has come back, the past is like a flat painting. All the scenes are still there. This is not Alzheimer's, but they have no energy, no reality, and there is little impulse to visit any of them anymore. Occasionally, one scene or another from the past flickers into life for a while, but then it dies away again. Regret and guilt loosen their grip. Issues and problems still arise, but they cannot hang around for as long as they used to do. The rock face, which gave toeholds for them to clamber up and grab me by the throat, is starting to crumble. The internal landscape has become slippery. As Nisargadatta says, the world is full of hoops. The hooks are all ours. Now the hooks are dissolving. However, during the next year, the self frantically tries to reassert itself, sometimes apparently very successfully, as issues manage to re-emerge, as boredom despair, emotional pain somehow still have to be experienced. One thing that is immediately seen is the nature of all the apparent spiritual experiences that arose during the years of searching and following false paths and gurus. Suddenly they are seen for what they really are: emotional and psychological experiences happening to an unreal person, and no more significant than putting on a shoe or having a cup of coffee. Spiritual experiences are not difficult to evoke. Meditate extensively, chant for long periods, take certain drugs, go without food or sleep, put yourself in extreme situations. That will probably do it. I had done all of these things, and there had been many spiritual experiences. I had chanted for hours and meditated to the beating of mighty Tibetan gongs. I had seen the guru sitting on a dais in impressive robes dissolve into golden light before my eyes. Personal identity had refined and dissolved in transcendental bliss. The universe had breathed me as my awareness expanded to fill everything. So what? There had always been someone there having the spiritual experience. A person, no matter how refined, had always been present. These events had all happened to me. None of them had anything more or less to do with liberation than stroking a cat. And anyway, you can't stay in God's world for very long. There are no restaurants or toilets there. Liberation is not personal and has nothing to do with any psychological, emotional, or spiritual experience, no matter how refined it may be. A spiritual or psychological experience is just a personal experience. Once it is seen that I am nothing, it is also seen that any experience arises only for an apparent person and falls away again in oneness with no significance at all. There is no real person in whom the experience arises, and no possibility that it could have any meaning. And liberation has nothing to do with the absence or presence of problems or issues which may or may not continue to arise. Liberation does not bring unending bliss. For that, try heroin, Prozac, or a lobotomy. What a relief! Liberation does not require you to be any particular way. Liberation does not require you to be at all. A person is not writing these words. Oneness is writing these words, and oneness is reading them.